Hello everyone, this is the Oneiromancer making a reply to Nightsphere the Gnostic's In Defense of Celestia. You may wish to view that video first, both because it's a good video and for sake of context. Either way, in his video he talked about Celestia and compared her to various gods of the Greek pantheon as well as the god of Abraham. In the end, he came to the conclusion that Celestia was more like a Greek god in terms of power, yet more like the god of Abraham when it came to loving her subjects. It should be noted that in his video, he made it clear that when he was referring to the Greek gods, he said pagan, but this makes sense. It is very obvious that of all the mythologies in MLP, Greek mythology is the most prevalent. Here, however, I will be saying that Celestia is actually more like a Norse god than the Greek or Abrahamic gods. I say that for this simple reason. The Norse gods were not only pagan gods, but if you're talking about the Aesir, then they actually did care about humanity, and one could argue that it was not merely to use them as a means to an end. For example, Thor was considered to be a guardian of mankind, and Odin had such great respect for humanity that of all the races in Norse mythology, from elves to dwarves, he chose humanity to fight alongside him at Ragnarok, the Norse apocalypse. For another example, during the saga of the Volsungs, Odin, Thor, and Loki even go so far as to give compensation to Hreidmar, a farmer whose son they've just accidentally killed. Yes, I'm aware what happens afterward, but even when Hreidmar's son Fafnir becomes corrupted by the cursed ring and Varanot, Odin helps the hero Sigurd kill the monster he unintentionally had a minor hand in creating. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not the Norse gods were exactly paragons of moral virtue, but at the same time, some might argue that Norse mythology is not about good versus evil, but rather order versus chaos. In that light, it is a lot similar to the harmony versus disharmony theme of the show, helped all the more by Celestia having remarkably similar traits to Odin, and enemies like Discord having very similar traits to those of Utgarda Loki and Loki. There are other similarities between MLP and Norse mythology as well, such as how the sun and the moon in Norse mythology are raised by horses. These horses pull chariots, which are steered by two sisters whose names translate to sun and moon. Beyond that, there are not too many more similarities that I noticed at this moment, but these two minor ones stand out. First is Trixie's outfit. The standard wizard hat and cloak, which we see in all types of stories, was actually something started by descriptions of Odin. Last is a background pony from the Super Cider episode who goes by the fan names of Mjolnir or Sandy. As you can see in this image, she clearly has a Mjolnir cutie mark. Now we move out of the realm of Norse mythology and into philosophy, specifically with a nearly forgotten about concept called Ignosticism. It was created 2,500 years ago by a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher by the name of Xenophanes, and what it essentially means is that the question of whether or not God exists is pointless. The reason is that God is a vague term that has been applied to many different beings, and everyone seems to have their own idea of what God is and what God should be. Now this is only part of it. I recommend looking more into it yourself, but the reason I bring it up is because the MLP analysis community has a similar attitude with alicorns. I will call this alicorn Ignosticism, because in MLP, the existence of alicorns is already confirmed, but a lot of people debate on what traits an ideal alicorn should have. This can be seen in many places, such as comments to Nightsphere's video, and various videos by the other analysis bronies that hint at what a proper alicorn should be. An example of both normal Ignosticism and alicorn Ignosticism can be summed up in this clip by Anthony C.
Princess Celestia is a god of ponies.
I mean, this doesn't look particularly omnipotent to me!
So, Celestia's not God. Interesting. For what is this scene a metaphor? That love can defeat God? But God is love, right? All this scene proves is that Celestia isn't God.
Just something to think about. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.